Marcus Ashton sat alone at the corner table of the Grand Pearl restaurant, checking his gold watch for the third time. At 36 years old, he had built an empire in commercial real estate. He owned properties across 5 states and his name appeared regularly in business magazines. But success had come with a price. His marriage had ended 3 years ago, dissolved as coldly as a business transaction. Since then, Marcus had thrown himself into work, avoiding anything that resembled emotional vulnerability. Today's blind date was a favor to his sister Caroline, who refused to accept that her brother was content being alone. "Just one more try," she had pleaded. "If this doesn't work, I'll stop setting you up." I promise Marcus had agreed only to end the conversation. Now he sat in his tailored blue suit, surrounded by crystal chandeliers and white tablecloths, waiting for a woman whose name he had already forgotten. The reservation was for 1 o'clock. It was now 1:15. Marcus felt relief mixing with irritation. She wasn't coming, which meant he could leave with a clear conscience and tell Caroline he had tried. He signaled for the check. That's when he saw her. A young woman stood hesitantly at the restaurant entrance. Speaking with the hostess, she wore a simple beige dress that looked elegant despite its obvious affordability. Her light brown hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail. She carried a worn leather bag over her shoulder. The hostess pointed in Marcus's direction. The woman's eyes met his across the restaurant for a moment. She looked like she might turn and leave. Then she squared her shoulders and walked toward him. Marcus stood automatically, years of etiquette overriding his surprise up close. She was younger than he expected, perhaps late 20s. Her face was makeup-free, showing the natural beauty of someone who couldn't afford to hide behind cosmetics. "I'm so sorry I'm late," she said, her voice slightly breathless. "The bus broke down and I had to wait for the next one. And then I got turned around trying to find this place." She looked around the restaurant, her eyes widening at the opulence. "I'm Olivia Bennett," she added, extending her hand. Marcus shook it, noting the calluses on her palm. "Marcus Ashton." They sat down. The waiter appeared immediately with menus. Marcus watched Olivia's face as she opened hers. He saw her eyes scan the prices, saw the slight tightening around her mouth. "The Dover sole is excellent here," Marcus said automatically. Olivia looked up at him. "I'm sure it is," she said quietly. "But if you don't mind, I think I'll just have a salad." Marcus understood immediately. The prices at the Grand Pearl were astronomical by any standard. For someone who took the bus, they were probably impossible. "Actually," Marcus said, catching the waiter's attention, "I have a confession to make. I come here so often that I'm tired of the menu. Would you mind terribly if we went somewhere else? There's a small bistro a few blocks away that I've been wanting to try." It was a lie, but smoothly delivered. Olivia's relief was palpable. "I'd like that," she said. 20 minutes later, they sat in a modest cafe with checkered tablecloths and handwritten menus. Olivia relaxed visibly. "Your sister didn't tell you much about me, did she?" Olivia asked as they waited for their food. "To be honest, I wasn't paying much attention," Marcus admitted. Olivia smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her face. "Caroline and I work together," she explained. "I'm a teacher at the elementary school where she volunteers. We've become friends over the past year." Marcus nodded. His sister had mentioned volunteering at a school, though he had never asked for details. "She talks about you often," Olivia continued. "She worries about you." "Caroline worries too much," Marcus said. "Maybe," Olivia agreed. "But it comes from love." Their food arrived as they ate. Marcus found himself studying Olivia. She was different from the women he usually encountered. No designer clothes, no practiced charm, no obvious agenda. She was direct, honest, unimpressed by his wealth because she seemed genuinely unaware of it. "What made you agree to this blind date?" Marcus asked. Olivia considered the question. "Honestly, Caroline was so insistent, and she's been such a good friend to me. I couldn't say no." She took a sip of water also. "I thought it might be nice to have a meal I didn't have to cook myself." Marcus laughed, surprised by his own reaction. "That's refreshingly honest." "I've never been good at games," Olivia said. "My grandmother raised me to speak plainly. She said life was too short for pretense." "Your grandmother raised you?" "My parents died in a car accident when I was 8, Olivia explained without drama. "My grandmother took me in, raised me on her teacher's pension. She passed away 2 years ago." "I'm sorry." Marcus said. Thank you, Olivia replied. She lived a full life and she taught me everything that matters. How to be kind, how to work hard, how to find joy in simple things. Marcus thought about his own life. The luxury apartment, the expensive cars, the business deals. When was the last time he had felt joy in anything? What do you teach? He asked. Second grade, Olivia said, and her face lit up. 23 7-year-olds who still believe in magic and think I know everything. That sounds challenging. It's wonderful, Olivia said simply. Yesterday, one of my students brought me a flower she picked on the way to school. It was a dandelion from a crack in the sidewalk, but she gave it to me like it was a rose. She smiled at the memory. Those moments make everything worthwhile. The low pay, the long hours, the struggles. None of it matters when a child learns to read or finally understands a math problem they've been working on. Marcus realized he hadn't thought about his work that way in years. For him, business was about numbers, profits, victories. You love what you do, he observed. I do, Olivia said. I'm not wealthy, I live in a small apartment, and I take the bus everywhere. But I'm rich in the ways that matter. She paused. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound preachy. Caroline warned me that you're very successful. And I'm sure your work is important too, is it? Marcus asked, more to himself than to her. They talked through lunch. Then over coffee, Marcus found himself telling Olivia things he hadn't shared with anyone, about the emptiness of his marriage, about building a company but losing himself in the process, about looking around his penthouse apartment and feeling nothing. Olivia listened without judgment. Success is supposed to feel different, Marcus admitted. When I was starting out, I thought reaching the top would mean something, but now I'm here and I feel more lost than ever. Maybe you climbed the wrong mountain, Olivia suggested gently. Marcus considered that. When they finally left the cafe, the afternoon had disappeared. I should get going, Olivia said, checking her phone. I have papers to grade, let me drive you, Marcus offered. You don't have to do that. I know, Marcus said. I want to. In his car, Olivia was quiet, looking out the window at the city. When they reached her apartment building, modest but well-maintained, she turned to him. Thank you for today, she said. I had a wonderful time, so did I, Marcus replied. And meant it, I should be honest with you, Olivia continued. Caroline probably told you I'd be perfect for you. But I can see we're from different worlds. You need someone who fits into your life. Someone sophisticated and polished. What if I don't want that? Marcus asked. Olivia looked at him. What if I want someone real? Marcus continued. Someone who remembers what actually matters? Marcus, I teach second grade and live paycheck to paycheck, Olivia said gently. I can't afford fancy restaurants or charity galas. I don't belong in your world. Maybe my world is the problem, Marcus said. He took her hand. Can I see you again? Olivia hesitated. I don't want to be a project, she said quietly. I don't want to be the person who makes you feel good about yourself or helps you find meaning. I've worked too hard to build my own life to become someone's redemption story. Marcus felt the truth of her words. You're right, he said. I'm sorry. That was unfair of me. Olivia opened the car door. Goodbye, Marcus. I hope you find what you're looking for. She walked toward her building without looking back. Marcus sat in his car. Watching her go for the first time in years, he felt something crack open inside him that evening, alone in his penthouse. Marcus looked around at his expensive furniture, his original artwork. His floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the city, all of it felt empty. He thought about Olivia's words, about climbing the wrong mountain. He thought about the dandelion from a crack in the sidewalk given like a rose over the next few weeks. Marcus found himself thinking about Olivia constantly. He made changes, small ones. At first, he started leaving the office at reasonable hours. He called his sister and actually listened when she talked about her volunteer work. He began noticing things he had overlooked before: the security guard in his building who always smiled, the barista who made his coffee, the people whose labor supported his lifestyle. One Saturday, he found himself at the elementary school where Caroline volunteered. He told himself he was there to see his sister, but his eyes searched for Olivia. He found her in a classroom, kneeling beside a small boy who was struggling with a reading book. Her patience was infinite, her encouragement genuine. She didn't notice Marcus watching from the doorway. She's special, Caroline said. Appearing beside him, I know, Marcus replied. You hurt her, Caroline said. She won't admit it, but I can tell. I know that too, so what are you going to do about it? Marcus thought about that question. The next day he showed up at Olivia's apartment building. When she answered his knock, surprise crossed her face. Marcus, what are you doing here? I've been thinking about what you said, Marcus began, about not wanting to be my redemption story. You were right to call me out. He took a breath, but I want you to know, you already changed my life. Not because I'm using you to find meaning, but because you reminded me what I'd forgotten, that there's more to life than success, that kindness matters, that a dandelion can be as valuable as a rose. Olivia leaned against her doorframe. I made changes, Marcus continued. I'm working less, I'm volunteering at a community center. I'm trying to remember who I was before I became so focused on winning. That's good, Olivia said quietly. I'm glad for you. But it's not enough, Marcus said. Because the truth is, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you, about your laugh, your honesty, the way you see the world. He met her eyes. I'm not asking you to fix me or save me. I'm asking if you'd give me a chance to be part of your life, to learn from you, to maybe build something real together. Olivia was quiet for a long moment. I'm scared, she finally said. So am I, Marcus admitted. She smiled then, that transforming smile. Come in, she said, stepping back from the door. I was just making tea. Her apartment was small but warm, filled with books and student artwork. It felt more like home than any place Marcus had lived. They talked late into the evening. Marcus told her about his changes, his realizations. Olivia shared her dreams, her fears, her hopes. I can't promise this will be easy, Marcus said as the evening drew to a close. Nothing worthwhile ever is, Olivia replied. He reached for her hand. She let him take it. 6 months later, Marcus stood in Olivia's classroom helping set up for the school's annual fundraiser. He wore jeans instead of a suit, and he had never felt more at ease. Olivia directed the volunteers with cheerful efficiency. Marcus watched her and marveled at how one blind date had changed everything. That evening, as they walked home together, Olivia leaned against his shoulder. Happy? She asked. More than I knew was possible, Marcus replied. He had climbed the wrong mountain for years, but Olivia had shown him a different path, one where success was measured not in profits, but in connections, not in possessions, but in purpose. And standing here, with this remarkable woman who had challenged him to be better, Marcus finally understood what it meant to be truly wealthy. Sometimes it takes meeting the right person to realize you've been living the wrong life. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is start over with honesty, with humility, with love. If this story of transformation and genuine connection touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment about a time when someone challenged you to see the world differently.